And hello and welcome behind the Spires. See, if I do it like that, then I can put anything I want in there.
He's Ed.
I'm Ed, and this is...
Hi guys, I'm Molly, and we are your friendly neighborhood city employees.
Yes, come join us behind the Spires, where we will bring the business of Frederick forward, highlighting updates on Frederick's projects, policies, and events.
Fantastic. Each week we are bringing a special guest behind the Spires with us, and today we have the City of Frederick's training coordinator with the Office of Risk, Safety, and Compliance, Jeana, and she is... got the coolest job.
The coolest job,
She's going to talk to us about the importance of safety training, no matter where you work.
Yeah, I don't think you get any cooler than the props that she has to help demonstrate.
Also, she helps people she trains people to save lives.
I mean, that's cool
pretty
too.
cool.
Yeah.
But the props are great.
The props are cool. If you're not watching us on video, catch our lovely mugs here on YouTube at City of Frederick, Maryland. Of course, you can also listen to us at Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and other podcasting services.
Yes. And we want to remind you guys that this is an election year.
Yes.
So you can find out all of our information about the election year on our website at frederickmd.gov/elections. We are also going to be providing updates on Vote Frederick via the city's Instagram. You can check out previous updates in the Vote Frederick highlight at the top of our Instagram page. And this summer, we are going to be having a special election episode of the podcast.
Yes.
Also, at the, I think we're going to be talking more about it later, but we will be at the Heritage Festival on June 6th. We're going to have a table there in case you want more information. But I'm excited to dig right into CPR and Stop the Bleed information.
Right. So stay tuned.
And we'll be right back.
We really value the partnerships we create with local companies who we trust to provide products and services that help us keep Frederick at the highest level of livability and sustainability for our residents. Just visit our website at frederickmd.gov/Frederick Buys and follow the prompts to register as a vendor today. Remember, when Frederick buys, Frederick thrives.
Welcome back, guys.
Today, we have Frederick's very own training coordinator with the Office of Risk, Safety, and Compliance, Jeana Panarella.
Jeana, welcome to the studio.
Hi, everyone.
First time here, hopefully not last time here.
We'll see how today goes.
Don't scare her off too early.
She's good. Thank you so much for being with us. We're going to kick it off with an intro. So we want you to tell us about yourself and what the training coordinator does here in Frederick.
So what the training coordinator does here in the city of Frederick, I organize and coordinate all the training for all the employees. This includes everything from safety training to departmental trainings that need to be done for compliance standpoints, including confined space and some trench rescue items. Not necessarily that they're doing rescues, but so that they're safe in trenches whenever they're working on them. Along with that, I teach CPR and Stop the Bleed in person and everything in between.
Yes.
So about me, I got into it 21 years ago. I started my journey in the EMS world. I joined United Fire Company down at 79 South Market Street. It's the oldest fire company still operating in the same building.
Oh.
It's been there since 1848. I have not. There are some friends there that have been there since 1848 still in the building, but they're very friendly. And for the most part, leave us alone. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I like it.
Yeah. There's a lot of history in that building. They're called the Swampers for a reason. So, prior to the Carroll Creek project, that's part of that, swamp area, swampland that was there previous. But I actually started 21 years ago because of 9/11. I was in college at St. Vincent College outside of Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And after all the planes were grounded on 9/11, which some of you might not be that old to remember that. I've learned that throughout my teaching time.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Yeah.
Flight 93 actually crashed quite a couple miles from my campus.
Wow.
So we saw it in the sky and it kind of disappeared, and then that was it. So
Wow.
yeah, so very impactful moment in my life. None of my family's in the fire service, just me. So yeah. And then as far as teaching, I guess it runs in my blood. Both my parents are teachers. So
you were just so impacted, like when you saw the plane and the first responders, you were like, I just got to get into this.
yeah, I was like, I got to do something. And I feel like this would make a difference.
Wow. That's
Now,
incredible.
I keep hearing us talk about CPR and Stop the Bleed training and everything. As we were talking here this morning, May is National Stop the Bleed Month.
Ooh.
So why are these two skills so important for not only city employees to understand and learn, but like residents?
So from the city employee standpoint, it's important because it's required for all departments that deal with electrical. And that's not our mandate. That's the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, that requires that. So that's important for the CPR aspect. However, we encourage everyone to take a CPR class in some form, some fashion, because you can ultimately save a life. Now, to tie that in with Stop the Bleed is important because obviously if you're doing CPR on someone that has holes of some capacity in them, some fashion, it's possible that you are pushing the blood out of their body and not containing it in the container, like I always say. So we got to get the bleeding stopped, and we got to get, blood circulating throughout the body and not circulating out of the body. One of my other instructors, I teach outside of here for the Maryland Fire Rescue Institute, which is a branch of the University of Maryland. I teach EMS for them. And one of my other instructors jokingly always says, you have to think of a trauma patient or a bleeding patient in this fashion, like a flat tire. You got to plug and patch all the holes and fill them with air.
Oh.
So, I mean, he's not wrong. So kudos to you, Mike Crawford. But
Shout out, Mike.
He jokingly comes into my classroom and says that all the time, but he's not wrong because you really got to plug and patch all the holes. And even at the capacity of teaching that outside of here, the National Registry for Emergency Medical Technicians has changed where it used to be ABC, so airway, breathing, circulation, and then you deal with dense bleeding. They've changed it recently to be XABC, which is extinguishing bleeding or dense bleeding, ABC. So it's XABC now instead of ABCD. So that's even important now.
So Stop the Bleed comes first.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. That is definitely new. So walk us through what like Stop the Bleeding training looks like.
So Stop the Bleed training is done through a coalition through the Department of Defense, and it's a program that we use. We used to use one from the American College of Surgeons. It's basically the same program, but it's we're directly reporting to the Department of Defense program now. So essentially that class, you come in, there's some PowerPoint presentation along with it, and then there's some demonstration with a tourniquet, how to use a tourniquet, and then also how to do wound packing. In the event that somebody needs it. And then we also explain the importance of chest seals if somebody has an injury to the core of their body, so the chest area or the back. That includes the abdominal cavity and the lower back as well, that they can do that. So
are we talking like cadaver, like dummies? Are we talking real blood? Like what?
No, not real blood. Not real blood. I don't go out and, I'm not a vampire. I don't go out and take people's blood to use it for this. We have fake blood that we use for this, and we have mannequins that are a simulation of a thigh, essentially.
Okay.
Either a knife wound or a stab wound, so they can actually simulate if somebody was bleeding, how to properly wound pack and be able to put direct pressure on that. And then I also make everybody put a tourniquet on themselves just so they understand the importance of it, and also the muscle memory.
Oh, to just like practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the more you do it, the more you'll be comfortable doing it.
Absolutely.
I just
Emergency.
took this class a month ago maybe.
Tell us,
And
give us a review.
yeah, it was really informative. I'd never seen that particular tourniquet before. This one's, you wrap it around your arm. It's got this little like dog bone thing you turn
Oh, yeah.
With
to
Yes,
tighten it
yep.
up. Yeah. And that was really, I've never seen it before. And it was good to actually experience how to use that, because I would have probably just taken like a shirt or a belt or something and try to go as tight as I could. But
Can you do that in an emergency situation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a lot throughout the city of Frederick. We have a lot of Stop the Bleed kits located. There's one actually in the hallway out here. So they have tourniquets within those kits. They're individual first aid kits, they're called. And they have tourniquets, chest seals, Sharpie, scissors, but there's tourniquets available in there. And then recently with the police department, we have a different type of tourniquet that's like a rubber band so that they can quickly apply it, especially if they need to.
Nice.
They might not be able to get a standard tourniquet on, but the rubber band style, they can get on in a pretty quick fashion, if need be.
Right. That's so interesting.
Now, what are the risks for not investing in trainings like these? How has our trainings that you've done with us and everything prevented incidents for the city?
So we've had a couple instances with CPR where a couple employees, separate instances, one of which I can remember recent was over by the bell tower. One of the employees was working over there and a person came over and drowned themselves in the creek. And they saw all this happen and transpire. They went over, pulled them out, and actually started doing CPR on that person. Got their AED out. There wasn't enough time because we're very condensed here in the city. We're fortunate that we have multiple resources available as far as ambulances that are coming. So they started CPR on the person. Unfortunately, the person did not make it, but they did start the training that they were taught to do, and they did have the AED there. They just didn't have an opportunity to be able to deploy it. So yeah, we are very fortunate with the resources we have. But yeah, the employees have definitely used this, and I don't know that anyone outside of the police have used a tourniquet or anything like that. There has been some instances of bleeding that hasn't been that severe, but
yeah,
people have jumped in to help one another, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to help somebody," and I'm like, you don't realize it though, whenever it happens, that you probably will.
Producer Lance, cut this if you don't want this in, but I think Lance has a story about helping his dad after taking the training and like saving his dad's life. I believe it was through CPR.
Yeah.
Which is like, you think about the investment in this training and how like it pays off dividends, and you'll never know when, like you'll have to use it.
Yeah, there has been instances outside of here. Lance's story being one of them with CPR.
Yeah.
One of the officers had to save his dad's arm. He got cut and applied a tourniquet, a makeshift tourniquet.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a commercially available tourniquet available, but actually saved that. So there has been instances outside of here where absolutely there's been cases where CPR and stop the bleed have been used outside of the city.
And it probably is, like you said, practice. Like that's probably why we have to take trainings, because it's like you get in that situation and it's just like fight or flight.
Yeah.
Or freeze.
Yeah, or
which
freeze.
is the third one, which
that
is I do. Like, what do I do? So with everything changing so fast, you mentioned that you like it's ABC now. How often do you have to like review the trainings and make sure they're up to date?
It depends on the program.
Okay.
Like with EMS, for instance, that probably changes every 2 to 3 years. They'll do some updates here and there. Maybe it might even be 5 to 8 years in some cases, but we constantly look at it. As far as the stop the bleed training, really and truly nothing's changed with that. We at the city have just changed the program that we're using. So instead of using the American College of Surgeons, we're using the DoD program.
Okay.
As far as the CPR training, there's multiple training platforms available. They probably update 3 to 5 years is about the window of time that they update. I'm constantly checking them, but the good thing with those is they send me alert if something's changing. So, and I log in enough that I see, the banner across the top that says, "Hey, this is coming."
Yeah.
So, things do change. I like with the CPR training, they haven't quite caught up completely to what's going on now, because like, for instance, if you were to call 911, 911 is going to talk you through hands-only CPR, whereas our videos in some cases actually show people giving breaths and using a bag valve mask. And, I tell people all the time, look, don't panic. Like, you don't actually have to breathe for somebody. It's okay. I have to show you these because there might be a question about them. But the reality is, if you call 911, 911 is going to talk you through most anything.
Right. Why did they change that? Because I remember I took the CPR training, and they stopped doing the best practice is not doing the mouth to mouth anymore. It's just the compressions, right?
Germs. And it was even, I would say even before COVID, that shift started happening, even pre-COVID, that just germs in general, because you don't know. And people, I think, are more hesitant if they think, oh my God, I got to go and breathe in some stranger's mouth. And it's like, no, like, it's okay. You don't have to do that. So they actually found too, studies have been done out west. Most recently, I want to say it was Portland and Seattle. They did studies where they did the chest compressions only, and they found that they had a higher survival rate, because if you think about all the hard work that you put in doing a chest compression, the chest compressions, keeping the blood circulating, you need the blood to go round and round and the air to go in and out. And any deviation of that's a bad day. So they found that if you can constantly, continually keep that blood flowing throughout the body, that you're actually doing better than if you stop. Because the second that you stop, now all that hard work that you've done with your chest compressions. I mean, if you've taken a CPR class, I can tell you 2 minutes is a long time. And if you're doing your 2-minute CPR where you're allowing the AED to talk you through what to do, that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
so,
you're pretty spent.
Yeah, so if you're doing 30 to 2, like it used to be, every 30 compressions you're stopping. All that hard work you did for 30 compressions is now to waste. So they have found that continual compression CPR actually works better.
And I bet that it would just like allow people to jump in, like not thinking like, okay, I have to do mouth to mouth, just get there and do compressions. Like, I feel like that's just more of like a comfortability.
Yes.
Yeah. For like a Good Samaritan situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to jump back to like the hesitant part.
Yeah.
You had mentioned something during the class that stuck with me, was like, people who are hesitant to get out there and actually help somebody. It's like, what if that was your, family member?
Yeah, I hit home on that a lot in class in general, because I want people to understand that, you need to think about who your important person is. So who means the world to you, right? Like, whether it be a spouse, a child, a parent, grandparent, whoever, think about that person. If they were laying on the sidewalk and a stranger was walking by, would you want the stranger to help your person? So you probably would. So kind of think about it in that aspect and I get not everyone, wants to jump in and help other people. And especially here lately, it seems like that's dwindling. But at the same time, you got to think about who that person might mean to somebody else. So would you want your person to be helped? Absolutely, you would. So help each other, help out somebody that might be in their time of need.
I just got chills. I feel like that's just the best advice you can give. Because I immediately picture my daughter. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go in and do whatever I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd want anybody around to be able to do that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Good question, Ed.
Now, how do you know if the training actually sticks? When you're doing the trainings for everybody, it's required for the city and everything. But is there a way that you can measure that it's actually, reflected in what they learned?
I mean, yes and no.
It's probably hard to measure.
It's hard to measure because honestly, I really don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Right.
But, if somebody were to get hurt, it's like, oh, what did you do to fix it? And, people have said, I've done this or I've done that because of what you said in class or what I know. But there's no real way to measure that. I don't think, especially with our, with our trainings that we do. I think it's just a matter of the repetition of it. For instance, with the city employees, Stop the Bleed is mandated for every city employee. And that's even before my time that started. But that's a mandatory class. CPR is only mandated for certain departments, but it's optional for others. But I encourage everybody to take it, obviously. But it's hard to say, like, with that, I do reinforce the trainings monthly. Well, I shouldn't say monthly. I reinforce them periodically through our toolbox talks or safety talks that we assign each month. They're not required for departments to do, but we highly encourage the departments to do it, that they look through them. This month, not only is it Stop the Bleed month, but we also have Stroke Awareness Month. So, one of the toolbox talks this month is, would you be able to recognize a stroke, in your coworkers? And, everyone thinks of a safety talk or a toolbox talk as, fall protection or a ladder, or,
like equipment,
stuff. But it's really and truly like other things too, what relates to it. Like, so we kind of reinforce that through the safety talks. Well, they might not be directly related to Stop the Bleed, but they're related in some fashion that hopefully people in their brains will revert back to, oh, I learned this in class, or oh, I remember hearing this before.
Right. Like you're in that situation, you're just like, oh, it comes back like muscle memory, like you said. What would you say to someone who's like nervous about taking the trainings, or even I would say we kind of touched on this, like nervous about jumping in and like helping? Because if you can think about your loved one, but also something that comes to mind for me is like, could I be doing more harm than good?
Right.
Like, could I be making it worse by helping?
I always put it this way. I think that trying to help anyone is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're doing what you see on TV, where, you have somebody on an airplane and they shove a tube in somebody's throat, a straw in somebody's throat. They're
right.
like,
They're give me a pen.
Away. Right.
Yeah.
And they jam it right in the throat. Don't do that. You're fine. Don't do that and you'll be okay. But I think that if you're doing it with the best intention, just like the Good Samaritan law says, if you're doing it with the best intentions and you're not doing it to cause harm, you're doing chest compressions, where chest compressions, you might break some ribs. It happens. That's okay. As long as you're doing them with the right intention, you're doing them properly to the best of your ability to remember. Yeah. You're fine. As far as the bleeding control, obviously, if you're doing it with the best intention and you're doing direct pressure or whatever. Now, with that said, if somebody says, I don't want your help, then just walk away and it's cool, that's fine. Right. And just make sure that whoever shows up, hey, I tried to help them. They didn't want my help. Mm-hmm. But I think that if you're going over there with the best intention in mind, that you're okay. And obviously not going outside of your scope of practice, that, again, don't be shoving a pen in somebody's throat, or, any of the whack stuff you see on TV sometimes. And it's like, whoa, time out. Like, that's totally fake. So don't be doing that. But
Grey's
you'll be
Anatomy,
fine.
giving people crazy ideas.
Yeah. Cutting a hole in their chest over here for a chest tube or something. No, don't do that.
Yeah, no.
Don't do that. But, the Good Samaritan law, is there for a reason, because it wants a bystander or a lay person to be able to go and assist somebody in their time of need.
Got it.
Can you share like a few tips with our listeners on how to stay safe at work, whether you're in an office or out in the field, something they can kind of take home with them?
Jeana's fast facts.
Yeah.
I know one. I remember one from training. Always make sure you know where gloves are in your office.
Yes. Gloves are super important.
I remember you being like, gloves.
Gloves. My analogy with gloves, think about if you're picking crabs and you have cuts on your hands and you get Old Bay in your hands where those tiny little paper cuts are, that's an opening for germs. So always know where a pair of gloves are. Absolutely. Always know where a pair of gloves are. Know where your phone is, because a lot of people don't think about that. But in an emergency, whether it's a large scale event where there's, an active event going on in the building, an active shooter event, or there's a fire or something like that, you want to be able to get out, but you want to be able to have the ability to pick up the phone and call 911 to get them the information they need so they can get the right resources coming. Know where you are. That's hugely important. I'll touch on that for a quick second, because know where you are. That's huge. I can speak to Frederick County. They use an app called What 3 Words. What 3 Words is hugely important because people sometimes they don't know where they are. I mean, I know that we're at 101 North Court Street right now, but the reality is if somebody came here, they were like, oh, I'm at City Hall, or I'm at the big building in the center of the park, or whatever. Think about people that are out hiking on a trail. And, of course, it's that time of year where all these people are like, yeah, I'm going to get out there and go hiking. And they've never hiked a day in their life. Right. They sprain an ankle and they're like, oh, yeah, I went in on the, whatever trail and I'm a quarter mile in. And it's like, my analogy is, it's like SpongeBob where they're like 3 hours later, and they find them and they're two miles in the trail. It's like, well, you don't know where you are. Right. So What 3 Words allows them to adapt down to like 1 square kilometer location, and it's using 3 words. So instead of having to read longitude and latitude, they see the 3 words. So it might be purple, unicorn, rainbow. And then as you move those 1 square kilometer area, the words change. So that allows the first responders to be able to locate you quickly. They use that technology as well within ECC, a communication center. So whenever you call 911 and it's pinging to the towers, it'll pick up on your location and it'll give them the What 3 Words location in most instances.
That's really cool. I did not know that.
So know where you are, have a pair of gloves, don't hesitate, and wash your hands after you get done. dealing with people. People are gross. I mean, like, I mean, I don't mean to say that in a mean way, but people got germs and all kinds of things going on. Just, go wash your hands. And if you can't, some hand sanitizer till you can get to a sink. I'm very obsessive about washing my hands. Like that's why I have like raw hands in the winter because I'm just, I touch things and I'm like, I don't know who touched that last and I don't want germs. So.
And you're giving training to a lot of people. So you're like, take it from the risk, safety, and compliance professional, wash your hands.
Well, looking ahead, what other resources can residents use to stay safe? Whether it's something they can go visit online or anything that you know of that they could access.
Yeah, do you like police give trainings or anything? Or?
So Fire and Rescue actually offers a lot of good trainings throughout. They actually offer CPR and Stop the Bleed classes throughout, and that's on their calendar in the Frederick County Division of Fire and Rescue page. They offer it throughout the county. Some local stations also offer CPR trainings and stuff throughout the year. I know that where I'm at, we're probably going to be offering some classes here coming up because businesses are now required to have AEDs, and that was a law that changed. I want to say it went into effect the beginning of this year, but there's certain businesses, if they meet certain stipulations, they have to have an AED. So there's resources available to get them trained. Stop the Bleed classes are readily available. If you have a teenager, there's babysitting classes available that will offer them, the proper training for CPR, how to, cook some basic stuff for the kids and, things like that. So there's babysitting classes available. The Red Cross offers a good bit of stuff. There's also a program, I can't remember what the letters stand for right off the top of my head right now, but it's CERT, C-E-R-T, that's available to the public as well. There's many opportunities for people to get trained outside of here with other classes.
So jump in, get trained, and get yourself prepared for an emergency. Jeana, you have given us so much information today. I like the Jeana's Fast Facts of wear gloves and wash your dang hands.
Yes.
So to wrap things up, we do have some quick round trivia.
Yes. And
I wish that Jeana would give us quick round trivia and see if we remember our class. But I think we did. We had some nuggets. Okay, go
ahead. You
ahead.
guys had some good information. Yeah.
So I usually, before we do the trivia, I offer everybody to take a little hit of some hot sauce.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, but the offer is there. This is the Trinidad Time Bomb from the Black Eyed Susan Company here in Frederick, Maryland.
That is a hot one.
That is a hot one.
No, thank you.
Jeana's face immediately, as you were taking it out, she was going like this. Okay, are you ready for?
Quick round trivia.
Okay. What is the first step, step 0, in both CPR and Stop the Bleed processes?
Make sure that your scene is safe.
Tell me what that means.
It means if there's an event going on that you want to make sure that it's safe for you to approach that person. For instance, if there's downed electrical wires, don't go near them because you could become part of the problem. The biggest thing is that you don't want to become part of the problem. You want to be part of the solution.
She's good. When she's good, she's good.
So in that case, the second step there would be to call 911.
Absolutely. Get on the phone, call 911.
Right.
Put them on speakerphone. And if you're not able, you can also text 911 if you need to. So,
yeah. Okay. I always thought it was just call.
You can actually text if you're in a situation because, keep in mind where we are. We have a lot of deaf population here.
Right.
In Frederick. So they have the ability to text 911. So if you're in a situation where you might not be able to call, you can always text them and let them know.
Wow.
That's awesome. Right. Okay. Number 2.
What song is often recommended to help keep the right pace during compressions?
Oh, I got a couple.
Oh.
Number 1 and all time, and everyone's going to hate me because you're all going to be singing it at the end, but Baby Shark.
I was not expecting that one.
Baby Shark.
I like that one better.
Is the one that's under the top of my list, but the other 2 very famous ones are Staying Alive.
There you go.
And Another One Bites the Dust.
Oh, dun.
As long as it's that same beat.
Yeah,
There's actually a playlist that the New York City hospital system came up with that's 100 to 120 beats a minute, and there's ABBA, Dancing Queen is on there.
Okay, yeah.
Fantastic.
The Otis Redding, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. There's some Michael Jackson, some Justin Timberlake, some you name it. Every single genre of music is represented on that playlist.
Wasn't there just a
I love that
new
they made a
song
playlist.
release that
A
is now
CPR
on-
song?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like Chaperone or something like that. One
Oh,
of those
Pink Pony
newer-
Club?
Maybe?
Oh, okay.
I've never heard it.
We'll Google
I
this
don't-
after. Okay. What is the number one cause of preventable death after injury?
Bleeding.
Okay.
So we need to make sure that we have bleeding control in place.
Yes.
When she's good, she's good. So
I
stop.
wasn't sure if you were asking what causes it, or yeah, sorry about that.
Stop the bleed. So it's National Stop the Bleed Month. Jeana, thank you so much for being with us
Yes.
today. You gave us a wealth of knowledge. I think I learned like 5 new things that I didn't know before.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope you come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't scare you off, right?
No, you didn't scare me off.
Perfect.
You didn't scare me off.
And you won't be scared by CPR training or Stop the Bleed training.
Not at all.
And we'll be right back. Here are a few key election updates for the City of Frederick. The City Council approved 5 new district boundaries. Each district will now elect 1 council member, as well as 2 at-large members who represent the whole city. The council also approved the election process. All registered voters will receive mail-in ballots and new voter cards showing their district. In-person voting will be held at the Trinity Rec Center on these dates: August 22nd and 23rd for early voting in the primary, and September 9th for the primary itself. October 24th and 25th for general early voting, and November 4th for Election Day. The candidate filing period is open until July 1st. Forms and eligibility info are online. Visit frederickmd.gov/elections for all election information. Want to register for city elections? Our staff will be available to help you at Heritage Festival on June 6th and National Night Out on August 5th.
And we're back.
We're back, guys, and we have a very special guest with us.
Is this the second segment?
We have the second special guest of the episode. It's producer Lance.
Hi,
Producer
Lance.
Lance, thank you so much for being here. We wanted to bring you in here because we mentioned to Jeana that you had an interesting story following a CPR training.
Yeah, so really, this is a good way to publicly thank Jeana, the Frederick Police Department, her training staff over the years for doing these trainings for the employees. And I hope most of our listeners have employee trainings at their work, because I had the CPR training, and it was probably less than 2 weeks later. My dad's helped me get rid of some wood in my front yard. Comes in, chest pains, cardiac arrest in my living room.
Oh my gosh.
And my mom was there. She was definitely that freeze part that you were talking about.
Right.
But I just had that training. It was fresh in my mind, and I went right into action, had my mom call 911, and then took my dad right away and started giving compressions right in my living room. So after getting rushed to the hospital and then getting flown to DC, quadruple bypass surgery, he's with us today.
Oh my
So-
gosh. Did you just like jump right in? Were you like,
I did.
You just
I
went
literally-
right into
I
motion?
pushed the coffee table out of the way, and like a drink spilled, and my mom was just panicking. It said call 911, and I just pounded away. And then he gave me this look because he did come back.
He did?
Yeah.
So he passed out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, not just passed out, but like
Oh my
all
God.
vitals, because they had to give him the paddles twice after EMS got there.
After,
wow.
okay.
So but he like gave me this look like, why are you like, what are you doing? Like he had no idea what was going on.
Oh, because he was like, why are you
Pounding on
pounding
me.
on my
Yeah,
chest?
yeah.
Did you break any ribs?
He definitely had pain, so I don't know if I broke a rib, but
That's what they tell you to do, though, is
Yeah.
like break
You're doing
the
it
ribs.
right. If
Thank you for sharing that story.
but I think it's another example of like you just don't know, and
Yeah.
it's best to be prepared. And I always make sure that she went into other trainings like emergency management. Make sure at your workplace you know where the exits are, you know what to do in these emergencies, whether it's fire, active shooter, even like bomb threats, because you may not know something like that could happen, but if you don't have that training, I don't think you'll be quick to act like I did that day for my dad. So they even say like, even going to like a mall or something, you go in one entrance probably most of the time,
right.
but make sure you go and know where the other exits are, so
Absolutely.
you can escape at any point if you need to. So I try to train my employees here of kind of those possibilities. So I think it's good workplace protocol, and Jeana does an excellent job here at the city. So
Absolutely.
and I've taken what she talked about, the Frederick County Division of Fire Services. They do have like a whole day of like CPR, stop the bleed, even Narcan training, all that stuff that you can sign up for free.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You took the whole thing?
I did.
Oh, amazing.
I did that more for my church, but anybody in the county can sign up for those trainings.
So let's put that up on the screen.
Yeah, we'll put that up there
URL.
as well.
I will say Lance is also he was very good when we started the city to give us a full training of City Hall and the exits and stuff.
Yes.
And that's a good reminder because I go a lot of places and I don't know where I am. Like she mentioned, like know where you are and know where the exits are. That's like not something that's first on my mind. I'm very much like go in the same exit and then like head down.
Yep.
But
you just focus on what you're there to do.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
Yeah. It's not a great quality to have, but Lance, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for giving a shout out to Jeana because she does do an excellent job.
Yeah.
We do have, switching gears, some art in the City Hall this month, organized in collaboration with the Asian American Center of Frederick, that features original calligraphy art from China and images from the Asian American Center's many public programs. We have a lovely piece of photography from the exhibit on display with us.
Asia on the Creek?
Yeah, Asia on the Creek. And that's going to be rescheduled.
It has been rescheduled.
For June.
Yeah, I believe it's June 14th at 3 p.m. Carroll Creek Amphitheater. So be there for a fun time.
Be there, be square.
I will. Try all the delicious food.
Yes. What else do we have going on?
In June, we are going to be celebrating Pride Month.
Oh, awesome.
So join us June 2nd at 4 p.m. at New Spires Art Stages, 15 West Patrick Street, for a Pride Month cultural celebration panel. Stay tuned for more details, though.
Yeah, we'll put some stuff on social media. And in June, the 2025 Frederick Pride Parade, presented by the Frederick Center, is going to be Friday, June 27th. I think the parade portion is new this year from what I saw on the website. So Friday night at 7 p.m. In downtown Frederick, and then Saturday, June 28th, they're going to be having like their Pride Festival that they've had before from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And that's going to be on Carroll Creek as well.
Yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
So we have some more events also.
Yeah.
Frederick County is holding a free Heritage Festival at Hill Street Park 4 p.m.
Okay.
On Friday, June 6th. So that's June 6th at 4 p.m. So join us for a special event celebrating the rich heritage of our community with live music, dancing, food, and community performances. Hopefully not all at once, because that'd be getting pretty messy.
Ooh, I hope all at once. I think that'll be getting exciting.
The city will be hosting a few tables there, including one for Parks and Rec. If you want to learn about our summer offerings, and one for Vote Frederick, which will include information on this election year, the new city districts, and we will also have staff available to help you get registered if you aren't already registered for city elections. And
this is the most exciting part.
This is the most exciting part. Our very own DJ Lazy River will be turning the tables.
Who is that guy?
I hear he's a really good DJ.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot lately.
Yeah, he was at Wreckfest.
Yes.
And he was at the fishing rodeo.
Rodeo.
And he was at our city's health and wellness fair.
This guy.
Was.
So
rocking the tunes.
He's pumping the tunes.
Pumping the tunes.
All over the city of Frederick. Okay. One more thing, because we already talked about Asia on the Creek rescheduled for June 14th. The Frederick Festival of Arts is going to be June 7th on Carroll Creek. We got a lot of stuff. Frederick is the place to be, especially in the spring and summer. I think there's so much going on. Actually, I take that back, and the holiday season. It's always the place to be.
This is the place to be.
This is
all year round. It's the place to be.
Listen, that's
there
the
isn't
slogan.
a slow spot.
No more join the story. It's Frederick, place to be.
Yeah.
But we want to hear from you guys. Please email us at behindthespires@cityoffrederickmd.gov.
Behindthespires@cityoffrederickmd.gov.
I thought it was behind the spires at cityoffrederickmd.gov. Is that what we're all saying?
That was beautiful. To let us know what you want to hear, what questions you have, and who you'd like us to interview. We always love to hear from you guys. We have to remind the people.
Yes, we have to
like and subscribe on Spotify.
So remember, yes, thank you. Remember to like and subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and YouTube. You think I'd remember this by now.
I know.
Also,
I was like, this is your bread and butter, Buster.
Also, before we dip on back behind the spires, we just ask a teeny tiny little favor,
Mhm.
the teeniest, tiniest little favors. Tell your friends about your time here. And if you get a chance, a simple 5-star review. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars.
15.
Whichever camera.
15-star review.
15-star review.
You can do that right in your app.
You can do that right in your app, and your support will help us grow,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd really appreciate it. So thanks for hanging out behind the spires, and remember, kindness costs us nothing, but it means everything. See, they didn't.
No, we didn't know the choreography. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.